Well, welcome to another edition of Wine Time Yakima, our new series where we're meeting local personalities and getting to know them a little bit better here in the very beautiful Yakima Visitor Center. And we want to say a big thank you to them today for inviting us back and for hosting us for this interview. Now, Washington has Patty Murray.
Yeah.
Alaska had Sarah Palin. Britain had Margaret Thatcher.
She was a dame. That was a good one.
Yakima has Amanda McKinney. Is that a good line?
Wow, Margaret Thatcher, and I will take that.
You'll take that.
Yes, that's amazing.
Well, Amanda, it's lovely to see you, one of our county commissioners. Thank you so much indeed for
Pleasure
being our
to be
guest
here.
today. Now, we're going to have a glass of wine.
Rosé is quite
it's
appropriate,
rosé.
apropos for today, considering it's going to be yet another 100 degrees.
It could be, exactly. Now, the Yakima Visitors Bureau have very kindly given us this. It's a Ruby Magdalena vineyard, and it's the estate of Rosé de Ganasha. So that sounds very
beautiful.
Nice. It's 2022. It was 1922.
And you will agree it was not planned that I wore my pink.
It wasn't. We didn't know what the wine was going to be in advance. But thank you for sitting down with us.
Absolutely.
Do you like a rosé?
I love a rosé.
Well, cheers, Amanda.
Cheers.
It's lovely to see you. I see you quite a lot on TV.
Yes.
But we don't actually get to meet all that often.
No, we don't.
Very rarely.
We don't.
So,
well,
cheers.
I'm very pleased to try this. Oh, it's chilled too.
Mm. Oh, that's lovely.
Oh,
Very
my
nice
goodness,
indeed.
that is very good. I love, to put a plug in, I do a Two Mountain local winery owned by the Ron brothers, and they do a beautiful rosé. And I mix it with a little ruby red grapefruit sparkling club soda and make a little
sounds
seltzer,
really
just a
nice.
50-50.
Now, I
Very
like a
refreshing.
sparkling rosé, so that sounds like a great
Yeah,
combination.
well,
I'd like to try that.
I like to keep the alcohol content down, so I mix it.
Well, very wise. Now, Amanda, I was looking through your bio. You're synonymous with Yakima. You're synonymous with the Yakima County, but you're not actually from here.
No.
But you grew up on the Columbia River, so not that far.
Yes.
Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in beautiful sunny The Dalles, Oregon, which is right on the Columbia River. But my whole family is actually from Ellensburg. My dad was actually, after he graduated from high school in Ellensburg, he went into the Coast Guard and did his 4 years and served our country. And then he wanted to become a Washington State Trooper. But back then, in the 70s, we still had a height requirement, and troopers had to be 6 feet tall. But
Really? I never knew that.
Yes, we used to be able to hand select troopers based off height. So I think they wanted them to look a bit imposing when they would come up and knock on your window on the highway. But Oregon lifted their ban on the height requirement, and he became an Oregon State Trooper. And my family moved to the Dalles when I was very young, and of course he chose it because the Dalles was a straight shot to Ellensburg.
Yes.
And I ended up going to college at Central. And met wonderful friends from all over Central and Eastern Washington, and it was very clear to me after I graduated and started my career that I always wanted to end up back here in Eastern Washington.
Now, you didn't actually start out in politics. I know you studied political science, but you were in business for a long, long time,
Yes.
long before you got into politics.
Absolutely. I did actually want to work for the CIA or the FBI. That was one of my dreams. And I wanted to become an attorney, which is one of the best ways to do that. But I ended up being recruited by a little company called Washington Mutual Bank, if anyone remembers WAMU. That was back in the old days. And they just wouldn't let it go. And I found out that, of course, I love people, I love problem solving, I love math. It was a perfect fit for me, and I excelled at it. And I ended up falling into real estate finance as a result.
And you did that for a very long time.
Yes, over 20 years.
Although you're only 23. But
Oh, thank you. I will take that too. You're quite complimentary today.
Well,
and I can't blame it on.
After I've had a glass of wine.
I can't blame it on the wine.
You can blame it on it. So what was it? What was the fire? What was the passion that you thought when you saw your opportunity to get involved in politics and start serving your community in a different way?
Well, I'd always had a strong sense and drive for community service, and that was something that my father instilled in me as well. I met my husband, David, through Rotary. I had already been a member of Rotary for many years before we met. My husband actually met at a Rotary meeting, so it's a pretty wholesome meeting. And it was incredibly important to me to give back to the community. And in doing so, I learned of all the opportunities that exist out there. My family, of course, and my husband's family having long roots in commercial agriculture, so very keen in understanding all of the regulations, the heavy burdens that were being placed on our agriculture community, seeing a way that I saw through those types of regulations to get people financing, and becoming a problem solver was something that I realized I could carry over into the commissioner role. And I felt we really needed a need for someone who was very assertive and proactive to really kind of see the storm clouds before they arrived and plan for them and then push them out and try to find a way to forge a path so we can see commercial agriculture thrive in Yakima County for the next 100 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a very, very important part of everything that goes on around here.
You can see it in this beautiful room.
Well, no, that's absolutely true. Do you feel it's something that is perhaps being neglected? Do you think some of these older industries are, the families perhaps that have cultivated the land, they're not staying in the area? Do you think things are changing? Or
Well, things are most certainly changing. I think one of the biggest things is that over the past decades, we have seen, of course, a lot of consolidation, which is why we have a lot of larger operations now that obviously 100 years ago, there were a lot of smaller operations. So consolidation has occurred over the many decades. What we're seeing right now is a lot of hedge funds or large wealth funds coming in and wanting to make offers to purchase some of our operations here. A little known fact that makes Yakima Valley very unique is that most of our large operators are still family-owned businesses.
That's true.
While they may be incorporated, they're still heavily involved by the family who started them, or their ancestors did. That's certainly true for our family. And I think one thing that's really important and why I fight so hard to maintain commercial agriculture is because those families are philanthropically more invested in the community than a large hedge fund will be. So if you think of all the ways that our family operators give back to the community by providing scholarships for the farm workers and their children, being able to support our local YWMCA, our YMCA, our Greenway. I mean, there's pathways around this beautiful valley. There's pools that children can swim in. All of the things that make Yakima Valley really so special are a direct result of the investment or reinvestment of our family operators back into the community.
That's very true. And do you think the future of agriculture here is still as strong as ever? I mean,
As long as I'm on the wall, it will be.
But when you hear like huge corporations like Del Monte pulling out of Yakima, so obviously that sends shockwaves and people are concerned about that. But do you feel that perhaps the family business can fill that gap, or do you think just we have to adapt to change?
Well, cannery is a unique, I think you bring up a good example of how changing culture. Cannery is something it used to be that we all had canned, fruits and vegetables, and that's something that we've moved away from. It actually is something that's very concerning to me, not only because I don't like to see a large operation leave our community, but canning is an important aspect of being able to survive in hard times. It provides nutrition and sustenance that is shelf stable and low cost. And right now, we're an economy that is instant gratification, and we expect blueberries to come from, just appear on our market shelves in the middle of winter, and it's because we have global trade, which is important, but we are very dependent upon that. And so I think COVID, of course, was a prime example of how it doesn't take much to disrupt international trade lines, and suddenly you don't have all of the things that you're accustomed to having at the grocery store. So I do think that it's important for the Trump administration or whomever is coming in the future, both state and federally, to keep an eye on those things that sustain us. And certainly it's why I promote agriculture so much, because food security is national security. And that's why it's really something that I fear to see the loss of agriculture land so much, because I understand that it's not a good prospect for us to become reliant upon agriculture production from countries outside of America, or the northern continent for that matter.
You raise a very good point, and it's something that I didn't grow up here, but unbelievably.
No, really?
Unbelievably. I grew up in England, as we were talking about earlier, but we had seasonal fruit and vegetables.
Delicious food, by the way.
Yes, but it wasn't until I came to the US that I saw this abundance where you do have everything. You get strawberries in January and peaches in December. And that's something I've not really ever adjusted to, but I think you're right. Anybody who grew up here now, born this century, wouldn't know anything else.
Well, and canning used to be something that households did every summer. I grew up, my aunties would get together, and it was a whole of apricots were my favorite. But that is something that I think that those are the signs of change that are really monumental shifts that most won't really notice, but it is of great concern for me, and I'm watching it closely.
Absolutely. Now, you saw your opportunity, I guess, in, was it 2020, wasn't it, when there was
right before
a special election?
Yes, it was
right before COVID.
Absolutely,
that hit down. And you were elected overwhelmingly, actually, both in the primary and in the election itself. How did that change your life when you're suddenly going from the world of commerce, the world of business, and the world of law, and now you're in this completely different world of politics.
I have to actually say it didn't change.
It didn't.
Much, because I'm doing what I was doing anyway. I'm certainly just doing it at a point where I probably have the opportunity to have my voice amplified, which is of course our voice amplified. Having so much experience with water, property law, taxation, budgeting, finance, understanding commercial agriculture, all of the things, I did not actually fully understand how well prepared I would have already been to start in this role, but it allowed me to be very proactive from the beginning. I have to compliment, of course, the staff. There's incredible teams working at Yakima County, which allow me the opportunity to not be working on fires, but to go out. Well, I do work on fires, but not the ones inside of a building. And so it allows me to be proactive. And because of my experience and my knowledge base, it was very quick that I was asked and elected to represent Washington state counties on a national role on issues that are related to agriculture. I represent Washington state on the Western Interstate Region Board, which is kind of like the Western Caucus, if you will, of the National Association of Counties. And then most recently, I was named to represent counties on the Federal Wildland Fire Leadership Council, because of course that is a critical threat to us here, not only because of our forest timbers and mismanagement in the past decades of our forest resources, but also because of the impacts due to the smoke that comes into especially our valley. And of course, it was something that has impacted one of our irrigation canals so significantly as well. So I ended up being a very strong voice where I could cite specific examples that really caught the attention of the administration.
And every day, it seems to me, is just a new challenge. It's not necessarily a new headache or a new
Good thing
fire.
I like challenges.
But exactly. But are there days where you just feel, I'm not making any impact, I can't make any impact? Or what is it that keeps you driving?
I have never felt that way.
That's fascinating.
Not at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I like to think every day there's a victory. I can point to a victory every day. And I don't know where that was instilled in me, but I know that my father drove me very hard in a positive way. He always told me he expected more from me because he knew I was capable. And I've always felt that if you have high expectations of people and you let them know that, they will live up to those expectations and often exceed them. I have high expectations for myself and my performance. And so every day, that's why I'm very responsive. And it isn't just a reply, it's a response. I like to articulate that I have heard you, I understand your issue, and if I don't have a resolution or an idea yet to resolve it, I will follow up with you when I do.
Now, I'm not comparing what we do at all, but we're both kind of in the public eye.
Yes.
And I love getting all the emails telling me how much they love me, but most of them are the exact opposite. How does it take a toll on you knowing that there's people out there who are just, whatever you do, no matter what success you have, there's going to be people who either are almost against you, almost viscerally dislike you, whatever. How have you coped with that? And has that taken a toll on your family at all?
No, my family is very good about not reading a lot of it, which I think is important. It really is. And I think that, you would say the same. It's probably not healthy for your family to go through and read Facebook comments. But I do think really, I have a lot of grace and compassion. I believe that most people make decisions, including verbal attacks, out of fear. And I do think that because when people are fearful, they say and do things that they probably aren't necessarily proud of in reflection. And I just give a lot of grace. And I think that I acknowledge that if someone is upset about something I've done, it's because they fear to lose something that they really love. And I can understand and have compassion for that.
That's a really good analysis. And you don't think, obviously you've got I think a 21-year-old now. She was about 17 or so when you were elected.
Yeah.
And a younger daughter as well.
Son.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I do apologize.
that's okay.
And a younger son. Do they sort of encounter things, oh, I saw your mum did this and I saw your mum did that, or anything like that? Or are they protected? Are they shielded?
Well, Duke is 12, so he really doesn't engage in social media or anything. I think he knows that I'm doing something, and I obviously talk a lot about the issues at the dinner table, but as a 12-year-old, you can imagine he's not keenly interested in knowing the details. My daughter, strangely enough, I think, and I think a lot of moms and parents will know this, that when they're teenagers, they don't really, engage in day-to-day banter about your work life. And of course, as parents, you want to shield them from any of the stress that you might be dealing with at work. But, I just recently was given the opportunity to speak at the Young Women's Leadership Summit for Turning Point USA in Dallas, Texas, a couple weeks ago. And there were over 3,700 young women leaders in the United States who gathered. And my my daughter was very excited about going, and she came and she was able to see me on this, big stage talking about, leadership and how important it is to prioritize your family. And that was something that was incredibly important to kind of full circle, having started in serving the public when she was still in high school, and now with her being nearly done with college, having that come full circle was really special.
Because I grew up in a very political family. My father was also involved in local politics. And I did find it quite difficult when people would say deliberately nasty things to me. And I'd say, well, you think I've got anything to do with that decision? It's really quite strange. But where do you think you're heading? I mean, is the White House in your future? The state, maybe? I mean,
I have
Olympia?
No idea.
Really?
I can say that there have been a lot of opportunities that were presented to me or asked of me really immediately because of my strong voice during COVID, which I believe was really just sound common sense and allowing and encouraging people to allow others to make decisions for themselves, which I think in hindsight has proven out to be, what was always and will always be the best decision. But really, I believe that wherever I go and whatever I do, it will always be to provide the best for our community. I hope it shows how incredibly proud I am of our agriculture community. I want to see us continue to thrive, not just survive. I want to see people feel like they have something to be grateful for, that their children are going to have a better life than they do right now. Whether or not that's something locally, I don't have any intention of pulling up and leaving Washington State. I can say that. We love it here, our family's here. We literally have roots in the ground. But whatever it is, it's going to be something that I will have to feel a passion for in the same way that I feel a passion for serving as commissioner.
I must say, that's the way you strike me. I can't, and it's not that I said you have the capability, but I don't imagine you in Washington somehow. I imagine, so Washington's capital, I believe very much staying here. But I'm thinking, the Olympia, the state capital, the Senate.
I just really love sun. That's a hard one. Yeah. I will say, I really love the sun. But truly, it's been an honor to serve, and it's 5.5 years in, and it really has gone by so fast, truly.
So you're keeping going for the moment?
Keeping going for the moment, yeah.
Now, it's interesting because I came from a much smaller county. I was living in Eureka in Northern California, but their commission was actually 7 people. Yakima's much, much larger, much bigger population, but there's only 3 of you. That must place a burden on the 3 of you, knowing that all this rests on such a small group of people.
Well, it could be worse. It could be one.
Well,
and I say
that
because I'm not, we are, and a lot of folks maybe don't realize this, but as the Board of Commissioners, we actually represent the legislative branch.
Right.
So it's nice to have a board. It does make it interesting when we have just 3, because of course we're to gather, that's a quorum, which means we are not able to have any conversations to really, collaborate on anything outside of a public meeting. Now, I support that very much, and I take it very seriously, because the public has every right to know what their board is discussing, which is why everything is done in a public meeting. It's why I work so hard to make sure that our meetings were so easy to access, that you could always zoom in, everything's recorded. We have meeting minutes that you can read, and it's all on a website. You can actually even go in and look at every document that we're considering, and you can click on it and see the genesis of that, the origin of that, and if it's changed through time. Those are things that I was very passionate about bringing to the county, and I'm glad that they're there, and they will be there for a long time.
And I've been very lucky in that I've met you, LaDon, Kyle. I've got to know you all a little bit, and we interview you quite regularly. But are there any tensions behind the screens? We're just 3 of you, and then how
you would be able to see it.
Yeah, no, well, I think so too. But how do you arrive at the conclusions? Are there days you go home and say, damn, once again the boys got their way and I didn't? Or does that really just never happen?
I don't think it happens. No. We have had disagreements. There have been a few times where I was the one odd man out, if you will. But we move on. And some of those times I was actually chairing. And every decision is a decision in and of itself. You do not carry that forward. You cannot have animosity into the next decision. That isn't serving your constituents well. We have to be able to maintain a strong working relationship. I understand where they lie and where they're going to fall on certain things, roughly. But I do think it's pretty clear to anyone who listens to what I say and reads what I write. I know what I believe and why I believe it. I have a strong compass on what I think is going to be good for our community or not. And I think most of the time, if there's an issue that comes up, not only do the other commissioners probably know exactly what I'm going to say and why, I think most readers and viewers do as well.
Now, I want to ask you something. I don't know if this is actually true. Were you in DC for January 6th?
No.
You weren't? Okay.
No.
I've been curious about that because so many people said, oh, you know, she was there. I think, well, I've never seen this. Well,
No.
where did you get that from? I didn't think so. So I'm glad we can clear that up.
Sure. I attended the first inauguration of President Trump. We actually took our daughter. And then for Trump's second inauguration, we took our son, and he was the same age. It was really fun to see them both experience it. Now, of course, the latter one, it was so cold that they unfortunately canceled the big ceremony on the lawn. But it was important. I grew up in a household where my father raised me, but had much help from my grandparents, who were both registered Democrats, and we actually did this thing at the dinner table called debate. And I think it's a lost art that we all need to focus on. How do you civilly debate on issues and still pass the potatoes and embrace each other and love each other? And I think that's
become so difficult.
Incredibly important to me.
Do you think that's social media? I mean, I do. I'm just curious what you think. I mean, you now can state your opinion, and your opinion is finite. That's it.
It will live on forever. Just really think about that.
Yeah.
I think it also, growing up in that kind of condition, really made me understand the power of words. Which is why I think I have a strong handle on the spoken word, but I choose my words very carefully because words are something that you cannot take back. And it is incredibly important to me that if I'm going to respond, that I'm doing it in a way that I will be proud of. I need to get my point across, but you can do so in a civil and respectful manner and debate the issues, not the person and personality.
That's very, very good advice. Now, how's your wine?
We've been
we've been talking too long, haven't we? It's very nice, actually. I'd like a rosé.
It's flowery.
Very nice indeed, and that's the Ruby Magdalena Vineyard. Well, Amanda, it's been an absolute delight. Thank you for joining us for a glass of wine. But I've got some rapid fire questions that we're going to go with. Just a little bit of fun. So, football or soccer?
Well, depends on where you're at. They are called the same. So I'm an American football, but I grew up playing soccer.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any teams that you follow?
No, I just follow them all now. Okay, although I will say that I love watching Euro Cup.
Oh, yes.
That's one of my favorite things.
And the FIFA World Cup. That's the only time I actually follow soccer.
Yes.
Okay, the Seahawks or the Kraken?
Oh, Seahawks.
Okay. Skiing or snowboarding?
Oh, skiing. Oh my gosh, my husband, we did let our son try snowboarding, but we are a skiing family.
Okay, fair enough. Murray or Cantwell?
Oh, I'm going to go Cantwell.
Okay, fair enough. George Clooney or John Kennedy O'Connor?
Ooh. Definitely you.
You're not coming. Oh, yeah, you got the right answer.
You're better dressed and a much better personality.
I've never met him. I hope that's true. Thank you very much. Amanda, this was an absolute delight.
Thank you for having me.
So much
I
for
do
being
appreciate
with us
the
for
opportunity.
Yakima Wine Time.
Yeah.
Enjoy the wine.
One more cheers.
Yes, one more cheers. Absolutely.
Cheers.
So nice to see you. This is lovely. And I want to say a very big thank you to the Yakima Visitor Center for hosting us today. It's always a delight to be in their beautiful facility. And don't forget, you can vote for Yakima to be the best wine region in the USA. We won last year, so we're hoping going to win again this year. Yes, exactly. That's the USA Today poll. You can find where to vote on Visit Yakima's website. You can also find it on kimatv.com. Please join us again for another Wine Time Yakima very soon. We look forward to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.